All right, what's going on YouTube? Gonzalo Pizarro versus Sunjata. We're gonna have a quick look at the draft over here. A double Gothic ban over here from both players. Chinese will be banned by Sunjata, Mayans by Pizarro. We also have a Turks pick here for Pizarro. Indians, Khmer, Japanese, Lithuanians, Turks, Huns for Pizarro, and Franks, Vikings, Persians, Aztecs, Mongols, Malay available for Sunjata. In terms of home maps, Sunjata has High Tides and it is Cup now. Apparently, Robo updated the picture because on the Discord he said it's Cup, not Bay, but I guess he updated this now. And Mudflow bypass for Pizarro. I have a feeling that Gonzalo could be Doubt, but it's a very, very small clue right now. With that, we do have the first game in. There is going to be a drop in the first game, which means that there will be an awkward moment when the game stops. Don't be scared about that. It's not a major technical difficulty, but there will be a drop. So with that, we will take a look at the first game over here, and we will have Gonzalo Pizarro versus Sunjata coming in here. We have a blue versus red setup. Sunjata is playing Aztecs on the right side in blue, and on the left side we'll have an interesting Huns pick for Pizarro in red, somewhat unconventional for Arabia if you ask me. The game is a little slower than it should be. Ugh. Okay, now it caught up to life speed. So, who are the guesses for these players? Currently, I'm leaning towards Pizarro being Doubt, and Sunjata, not really a good idea about this one. Could be Yo, could be someone else as well. We'll have to see how he actually plays. We'll be able to evaluate the draft after the first game, I believe. I just had to rush this because we already had the games and I didn't want to delay them that much. So, Sunjata will be playing Aztecs on the right side with what is a fairly decent map. Woodlands at the back, Bears at the back. The gold is workable, but not amazing. Other side, this gold mine is okay, I guess, for Pizarro. He's gonna have the berries workable as well, but not a great base overall. I'm curious what he wants to do with Huns, though. Huns is a good Arabia civilization, a little bit old school, to be honest. And one thing that we'll have to pay attention to is how Pizarro is luring in his boars. Because I feel like if it's really Doubt, we are going to see no TC being used for the lure. These are still recorded games, yes. They are all recorded games with the exception of the grand finals, and the reason why is because if they were live games, the time frame in which they are played, that would be a clue towards casters, players whatsoever. So it is much cleaner if it's all recorded games. So we're gonna have the first board coming in here for Sunjata, and Sunjata runs into the TC fire of the opponent, eats some damage, but not an awful lot. And let's see that lure coming in for Pizarro. That's actually very, very sloppy over there, killing Sheeparino before actually having the board in. And yeah, that's one step closer towards Doubt. Another step closer towards Doubt. That's a disaster spot to kill that board. Some very, very unlucky pathfinding over there as well. But that was not a great board kill spot. Other side, first board is in as well for Sunjata, who is using one house and then Villager on the Mill. This is not Dogao. I actually mentioned this a lot, and there's probably YouTube comments that are saying... I remember there was a YouTube comment that said, stop saying this Dogao, that. But this is just the way I do things. If there's one person I always want to identify, that's Dogao. And I can tell you this much, Sunjata is not Dogao. I wasn't suspecting Dogao to be Sunjata anyways, but that's -1 candidate for Dogao. With that, we're gonna have the second board coming in soon for Pizarro from the back of his base. And he is 4 on wood, so this could be an archer play, might even be men-at-arms archers, which would be somewhat unconventional, so to say, with Huns, but definitely something that's not unprecedented. So here comes the second board. This one is a much, much cleaner lure here from Pizarro. And on the other side, Sunjata brings in his board as well. And he's going to do some deer pushing after his ego got damaged. Not really a big deal because he can actually garrison that ego inside the TC and heal that up. For now, we're going to have a Barracks coming in here with what is possibly a 21 pop minute arms timing maybe. I think Hans could actually squeeze in a 21 pop Man-at-Arms if they really want to, because this Barax is too early for a Scouts build. We'll see if that actually is something that Pizarro can pull off, but 21 pop could be doable, although he didn't push in a single deer. Walls coming out now for Sunjata over here. Goes for some interesting walling over here. The diagonal walls is something I don't really like, but it looks like he wants to wall to this forest over here. The bigger concern, I believe, is his gold mine. By the way, we are gonna have Sunjata with 4 on wood, no surprise about that, with Aztecs. And it seems like this is just going to be a straight archers build. And on the other side, this ends up being a 22 pop build from Pizarro. So it kind of has to be Men-at-Arms here. Indeed, 2 Voyagers being added to gold. This was a little bit early Barax, but it's not really a big deal right now. So it is a Men-at-Arms archers play. Makes some sense against the Aztecs, because what Aztecs would do against the Scouts play is just Spear and Archer. So you probably either play Scouts and Skirms, or you play Men-at-Arms Archers and try to match the Archer numbers of the opponent. The Aztecs will try to switch into Eagles, so your ideal switch is going to be Knights. So I would say what you do is probably a mixture of Archers and Skirmishers, and then go for a Knight switch once you go to Castle Age. That's probably the most reasonable thing to do here. Some big walls coming in here from Pizarro. Out there, dropping a couple of farms, Val going up to Feudal Age. Not sure why he needs that, but I guess it's fine. Oh, the militias pop out on the wrong side. The militias pop out on the wrong side. And he's probably going to delete a part of the wall over here. Or he might just stay back at home because he's anticipating Men-at-Arms. Interesting. Sunjata going for some sneaky... What is this? Double Barax Eagles. Huh. Sunjata is pulling one out of the bag of tricks, that's for sure. He's got a Spearman out to poke down that scout, and Pizarro is actually going to see that there is double Barax. So it has to be double Barax, pretty much Spearman Eagle play. Apparently the idea for Sunjata was that his opponent is going Scouts. Because if the Hunnic player is going Scouts, one thing that you can do is go Spearman and Eagles, and then later turn into a pikeman push. But there is a couple of Men-at-Arms, and this could be a little bit concerning for Sunjata. There is the scout with half HP, Men-at-Arms coming in, nice walls for Pizarro, as the Eagle can actually run away from the Men-at-Arms. The thing is here that at this point, Pizarro might just go Men-at-Arms into Castle Age here, because he's not dropping a range whatsoever, and seeing the double Barax, he probably shouldn't even. Instead, this should be either Men-at-Arms into Castle Age with Vows, because your opponent can't deny your rewalling unless he's sending Voyagers to the tower. Now there is an archer range in a sneaky position. I'm starting to see the point for Sunjata here. So he's intentionally hiding that archer range, and the reason why is because he wants to make his opponent think that it's just going to be Eagles. And against Eagles, you just add layers behind, that's fine. But once there is 2 archers, that suddenly becomes a lot more problematic, and he wants to make his opponent just go into Castle Age here. I love this move from Pizarro. He's actually... Doubt confirmed? Oh my goodness. That was a disaster. I was looking at that hole and I was like, maybe there is a hole around. It's hard to spot, I'm going to admit that, but come on, man. Come on, this is a big tournament, and that's exactly what you want to avoid. There's a Men-at-Arms being added. So I was just about to praise Pizarro for going Horse Color first before double Barax. Because I think if you drop this many farms, it's actually a better decision to go for Horse Color first and then double Barax whenever you can afford it. Although now he should definitely go for double Barax. He's going very, very heavy on food. So this is going to be an interesting one as well, because normally if you don't make a lot of army in Feudal Age, 13, 14 on food should be more than satisfactory for a Castle Age. So he's got 19 on food, or descending Voyagers on gold. He's probably going to try and play Knights, as Sunjata is running around with the Eagles. The Men-at-Arms have been sent back, but you also have to consider that there will be a couple of archers being mixed in, something that Pizarro has no idea about, and he might get caught off guard. Still, at this pace, I feel like Pizarro could just go into Castle Age and go for Knights, and I'm not sure if Sunjata can stop that. I mean, Aztec Monks are nice, but you kind of need a forward position for that, and I'm not sure if he's going to have the forward position at that very moment. Nice quick gate over there from Pizarro as well, and he's going to try to trap that army once again, going to be unsuccessful, and this is the moment when Pizarro is going to spot the archers, and this is why the delayed sneaky archer play was so smart from Sunjata, because Pizarro believed that he can just go men-at-arms into Castle Age, and that's not really the case now, because there's archers, and the eagles will be poking the walls from the inside, and the archers will be sniping down the men-at-arms behind. So what you will have to do for Pizarro is make contingency walls. With houses this would be easier, but you see that this push already forces the defensive tower from Pizarro. Those contingency walls are nice over there. And with that, Castle Age is getting closer for Pizarro. A little bit unbalanced eco, floating a bit of a gold, as he's trying to weaken those eagles as much as possible. Tower is going to be nice, and we're going to have a range. I wonder if we're even going to see triple range cav archers now, because it's only 1 TC for Pizarro, and he doesn't have the stone for additional ones, and that's often screaming for a range cav archer build. And if your opponent is going for archers, then cav archers can be a reasonable option, as this army is actually going to try and sneak past here. There will be probably a couple of skirmishers built, and oh my goodness, Gonzalo actually forgot about buildings. He forgot about the buildings, that is why he's not going up. So I am fairly certain now it's doubt. I have my reasons for it as well in terms of civilization selections, but so far it is reminiscent of doubt over here. So he's got finally the chance to pick up, but all his Castle Age advantage is gone because he was missing the buildings, and he's also going to be on 1 TC for a while because well, he had to go for defensive tower. So it looks like one of the man-at-arms will get picked off by the archers. We also have Sunjata on the way to Castle Age, and now the real question is if Sunjata is actually switching back into eagles, and I think he will. And to be honest, we have to think about who would be a player that actually goes for a smart strategy like this. Yo is definitely someone I can consider for Sunjata, because this is a smart strategy. He actually made his opponent think that it is only eagles, and he can just sit back behind his walls. Then actually added archers. The archers force a skirmisher play, but it's a switch back into eagles. This double barracks eagles into archers back into eagles is a smart play. There's the triple barracks eagles. This game plan is 10 out of 10. This is the first time I'm seeing this, but this is a very nice game plan. So instead of going for archers simply in Feudal Age and then switching into triple barracks eagles, where his opponent would have just gone for knights to stop it, instead it is archers added earlier, and then it's going to be a switch back into eagles. It's a triple barracks eagles from our Aztec player, so it's a fairly aggro play. And indeed, we're gonna have triple range cav archers here for Pizarro. The problem is that you need a lot of technologies for cav archers to become efficient. They won't have husbandry, they won't have bloodlines anytime soon because you don't have stables. They don't have tumbling, they don't have ballistics, and yeah, that was over. Upon reaching Castle Age, like Sunjata reached Castle Age and Pizarro was like, okay, it's over. It's over. That also is a bit of a clue, because this is not an early GG. He knows exactly that he was dead. He knows exactly that he needs time to mass his cav archers, and he probably knows that if my opponent was on 2 barracks, he probably just adds a third one and overruns maybe the eagles. This is a good, like, this is not an early GG. And the reason why is... What? Sunjata gave up? Wait, no, that's a drop. Wait. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. This is a drop. There was no GG. Just the timing of this one was crazy. Because I thought it is a Castle Age GG, but it's not. It's a drop. We mentioned that there is going to be a disconnect. I completely forgot about that. But the weird thing was that it is... Like, the timing of it actually occurred when Sunjata reached Castle Age, so I legit believe that Pizarro just tapped out. And it would have been a reasonable GG, because I was just about to say that these cav archers will be horribly under-upgraded. They have basically no upgrades other than the blacksmith ones, no ballistics, no tumbling, no husbandry, no bloodlines, and they'll be up against triple barracks Aztec Eagles with siege workshop support. So it's a drop, but it is probably going to be a stomp very soon from Sunjata, overrunning the opponent. So we will have chainmail on the way right now. Forging is already in, so it's a good old-fashioned +1/+2 Eagles, and with that, we are gonna have the Eagles coming in. There is one man-at-arms helping out, but as I said, these Cav Archers aren't great. Also, even though with Hans it's not unprecedented to go Cav Archers, we know that Doubt loves his Cav Archers, right? After Red Bull, we know that Doubt loves his Cav Archers as much as Yo loves his Eagles. So this very well could be a Doubt versus Yo matchup. Over here, second TC coming in for Sunjata. It's actually a great eco that he can afford the 2 TCs plus triple barracks ego production, although it seems like he's slowing down in the ego production, and we'll just go for Scorpions, Eagles, opening up this hole here, and the reason why is because he wants to take this hill with the Eagles and the Scorpions. Boso coming in. Pizarro is still missing double barracks, by the way, so that's something to point out. Oh yeah, scoreboard, sorry. I forgot about that. I appreciate that. And it looks like now Pizarro is going to launch a counterattack that's starting to be a scary force of Cav Archers. Once again, the upgrades aren't amazing, but the numbers are there. It is 15 Cav Archers against 7 Eagles only. It looks like Sunjata is playing a little bit greedier now. He doesn't want to commit everything to this Ego push. Starts adding Eagles once again, but he was prioritizing the second TC. This Goldman could still be problematic to the Cav Archers, and the Cav Archers will apparently loop around. There is a Mangonel, 2 Scorpions as well. Nice split up over there as well from the CA. Eagles diving in though. Cav Archers trying to snipe the... I think that's the Monk and then the Repair Voyager that will be sniped down. Mangonel could actually land the shot the other way around, as the Cav Archers are split up, and I don't think this is a good fight for Pizarro. This is just not good enough for Mr. Pizza, as he is going to be soon overrun by Eagles. That's the problem. The Eagles will just start running in and start killing villagers. That's going to be a 4th range coming in for Pizarro. There is a stable up, so Husbandry Bloodlines could come in, but you should also not forget the fact that there is indeed a 25 minutes double barracks timing compared to the opponent already having basically all the important eco upgrades. But Cav Archers can be scary units when they break through Palisade walls, and you see that Sunjata is a little bit off from gold. He's gonna have to TC the other gold mine over here, and this is tricky. He doesn't really have the ego numbers to overrun his opponent, and we may have underestimated the Hunnic Cav Archers. They may be unupgraded, but I think that Sunjata, if he just goes for the full triple barracks ego play of Aztecs, he actually is able to overrun the opponent here. But he went for the second TC and kind of stopped making egos for a moment, so you see that his ego numbers aren't impressive. And the thing is that right now Sunjata is off from gold, and last time I checked you can't go egos without gold, and this could also be a good one for Pizarro if he micros this one well. He could actually take down all of those siege weapons or just make a knight and finish those off. That also could work out nicely. Cav Archers now trying to break out. You are not really gonna get through a house there though, my friend. So this army is something that could be cleaned up by Eagles, but I feel like once again the Cav Archer numbers versus Eagle numbers, it's not decisive advantage for the Eagles. This is gonna be a cleanup, but there is already a new horde of Cav Archers, and if you look at the Voyager count, even though it's a 1 TC play from Pizarro, and 2 TCs from Sunjata, Voyager count is dead even. Wheelbarrow is in for both players. The only thing that's missing, really, is Boso for Pizarro, who's diving in and picking off Voyagers left and right. I seriously believe that Sunjata underestimated the potential in these Cav Archers and went for a bit more eco-heavy play. He's going to clean this one up, but now he has to be careful, because this is the moment where I could see Pizarro starting to go back into Knights. And the thing is that Monks could definitely help out against that, but if you go double stable Knights with Huns here, that could be pretty devastating. And the other thing that you really need is indeed Husbandry. Husbandry for Cav Archers is essential because of the speed. They do have Bloodlines now, still missing Ballistics and Tumbling, but Husbandry is probably the most important over there. And from a game where Sunjata was dominating, we are back into a position where Pizarro is pretty much in this game. So 56 Voyagers compared to 55. I'm not saying that Gonzalo is winning this one, but it's definitely better than it used to be for him. And he's mining stone, so he might actually think about a castle in the future or just TC for now. He will definitely think about defensive castle because he's gonna get pushed by Egos and Siege, and stopping the Siege is definitely possible with a defensive castle. And now with Husbandry, you see that those Cav Archers actually do a nice hit and run. Ballistics on the way as well. So really those Cav Archers start to become a scary force. And I feel like this full Cav Archer play is also something that Doubt would love to do, although I feel like he wouldn't be the only player playing with Cav Archers in this situation, although you soon have to start considering something else, because Scorpions and Eagles will actually be pretty devastating against those CA. You see, many of those CA are actually weak. The overall condition is like around 50%, but some expensive siege weapons are being destroyed here, and I think that Pizarro should just make 2 knights. If he had 2 knights here, he would be taking so many siege weapons down. Even a bear is actually attacking the Cav Archers, I believe, and that's actually a disaster fight for Pizarro. He needs to fall back, and his Cav Archer numbers, he needs to group them up, because 2 small groups of Cav Archers isn't really going to work out against Egos. You need 1 big group of CA, and it looks like Pizarro is going to be lucky that Sunjata isn't engaging in here and doesn't dive in. The bear was following through that hole, but wasn't successful getting in. Still, no knights from Gonzalo, who is actually adding TC number 3. Now it's a 6 villagers lead for Sunjata, who is on 3 TCs, whereas his opponent is still on 2. But that's still 31 Cav Archers, now with good upgrades. Would be cool if there was a monk healing them. But, oh, that's actually a scary moment over there for Sunjata. The PC does go up, but those Egos do have the hill. Now the Cav Archers will take the hill as well. You still have to be careful, and I really wonder if just a couple of knights would be helpful here or not. Because there is some monks on the field, but there's so many siege weapons that you really want a couple of knights to help out against that. Egos get a good surround here, so many of those Cav Archers die, but cost efficiency might still be on the side of the Huns here, because the thing is that these Cav Archers are relatively cheap, and Egos are fairly expensive if they get picked off like this. Heavy Plow coming in as well for Pizarro, so we confirm it's not Nikov because he's getting eco upgrades before 1 hour. So Heavy Plow is actually a nice upgrade. I also think that the horse color before double bit axe is a very Doubt thing to do. It's not something that he does exclusively, but it's something that many players would not do. So for now Cav Archers are still in here, but look at the overall HP. Many of them are so weak, so just a couple of good Scorpion shots makes this a really problematic situation. And I don't understand why there is no knights here. That's a lot of siege, and Pizarro is getting close to a defensive cast, and he will soon need it, because that is 5 Scorpions pushing him with 16 Eagles. And now that's a good fight as well for Sunjata, and with the Cav Archers you have to hit and run, whereas the Eagles will just dive in and just tank up the damage while the siege weapons are pushing. That's barracks number 5 coming in here for Sunjata. Now Sunjata apparently switched gears, and that's where it starts becoming problematic for Pizarro. He could hold against 3 barracks Eagles with 4 range Cav Archers, but now it is 5-6 barracks Eagles and siege weapons coming in as well. That's the bigger problem, that Mangonel Scorpions are making life very hard for those Cav Archers, and you see that the militia numbers are now heavily in the favor of Sunjata. And Sunjata's starting to add villagers on stone, so he's going to think about the forward castle as well, and he's most importantly getting closer to clicking up to Imperial, whereas that is not going anywhere for Pizarro. So Pizarro actually held on really nicely here with the Cav Archers. He definitely held on longer than I expected him to, but it turns out that Eagles are still better than Cav Archers. And with 5-6 Scorpions, and the problem here for Sunjata, or for Pizarro, is that he doesn't have anything to kill Scorpions with. Like, he's got a Mangonel now, but that's so far away from combat, and Egos can just dive in and snipe that Mangonel. So he really didn't have a single knight that could actually dive in. Imagine if he had 1 knight here. There is no monk to get a conversion right now, right? So really 1 knight could kill 2 or 3 Scorpions here without any problems before anyone could actually finish that off. So Mangonel now pops out. That's a nice move over there from Pizarro. Finishes off 2 Scorpions, but here is 1 Eagle, and in the end it's gonna be 1 Mangonel trade for 4 Scorpions. That was a nice one, but I feel like the problem that you're facing now is this and this. Sunjata is gonna cut into Imperial in a matter of moments. Pizarro is nowhere close, and now Pizarro is losing villagers left and right. So with that, we are probably going to have Pizarro losing game number 1 over here. Like, he's gonna have the Cav Archers, sure, but I mean, he's pulling Voyagers now to take down siege weapons, and I think at latest, when Imperial Age kicks in for Sunjata, this is gonna be over. But I think that since Pizarro is busy microing his Cav Archers here, he probably hasn't seen that he lost all his Voyagers on the left side here, basically. Everybody has been cleaned up. He's got 72 Voyagers with 23 idols. He's got basically no economy working for him, and he's up against Aztecs with who knows how many barracks. It's 7 barracks coming in, and that's, what is that even from Sunjata? What is this mass migration? He doesn't have stone for a castle. Oh, it's a gold mine. It's a mining camp. Because apparently Sunjata is already running out of gold. This forward thinking actually is smart from Sunjata. So he knows that, okay, I'm running out of gold, I need to find additional gold mines. He probably didn't scout the other gold mine here in this corner. And indeed, that's right. Now he's actually using a monk to scout the map. By the way, he collected 3 relics as well with Aztecs. And Pizarro selling stone right now so that he can actually keep up the production. Finally gets a couple of knights on the field, but it won't matter. He's down to 68 Voyagers. And, I mean, it's 48 Voyagers killed compared to 8. The only time that Pizarro was able to hit the eco of Sunjata was when the Cav Archers broke in. But now the egos are just running around and just trading egos to Voyagers. And really the relic collection is something that is also reminiscent of Mr. Yo. So many players would not actually bother collecting relics just now. It's 4 relics soon for Sunjata with Aztecs. And yes, the Cav Archers survive for now. Yes, it's 22 to 15 military, but that's Imperial Age. And Pizarro hasn't actually tapped out. But once Plate Mail comes in, it's Elite Ego first. Elite Ego actually is going to help you a little bit more, I believe, than Plate Mail. But the next one is going to be Plate Mail, and there is no way you stop Elite Egos with Plate Mail. Especially considering that Sunjata is actually going to get a castle up soon. He could castle this position to deny that stone from the opponent. And just go for Garland Wars as well. Still missing +4 defense, just coming in for Plate Mail. But, I mean, at this very moment, Pizarro is at 77 Voyagers. He's having 0 chance here right now. Those Elite Eagles will just eat him. They don't even have to engage the Cav Archers, they just have to run past and kill the Voyagers. And at some point, the Cav Archer numbers will run out. So now Elite Eagles, even without the Plate Mail upgrade, they have 6 Pierce Armor, so the Cav Archers do 2 damage per shot. And now they're just swarming everywhere. There's the castle I was talking about, and this game is so over. And indeed, it feels very much like Sunjata is actually Mr. Yo, because of the way he's playing Aztecs as well. Yo is an absolute beast with Aztecs, and with that, Pizarro calls the GG, and Sunjata striking down the Conquistador. Sunjata takes over in game number 1. Alright, so let's take a look at the drafts over here. For a moment, we didn't really have a lot of time to discuss those before. So we will have... It was probably the original plan for Sunjata to play Chinese, although it's not guaranteed. What are the home maps? The home maps are... No, Mudflow. If Mudflow was the home map for Pizarro, then I guess Sunjata wanted to do Chinese there. So it would have been on Mudflow anyways, and Aztecs was probably the game plan for Arabia. And I guess plan B now is Franks for Mudflow for Sunjata. We will have Hans, which was the final pick of Pizarro, gone over here. It seems like he wanted to go Mayans on this map, but that wasn't really possible. So let's talk about civilizations. On Mudflow, it's probably going to be a Khmer versus... Khmer versus... Well, it wanted to be Chinese, but it's probably going to be Khmer versus Franks. Then on High Tides, it's probably going to be Japanese versus Persians or Mongols, maybe Malay. Mudflow, we talked about that. Bypass could be Turks. That bypass Turks could actually confirm someone else as well. I will talk about it after the series because I want these series to be spoiler-free individually. So, but if it's actually Turks on bypass, I have an idea as well for another person. So, with that, we will get back into the lobby and let's see if there is another game. Indeed, game number 2 is coming in. Sunjata versus Gonzalo Pizarro. So we'll jump into game number 2 over here. I'll have to bring in some water for myself because I'm starting to get thirsty. So with that, let's get going. And we are going to have Sunjata playing on the left in blue, as Frank's right side is going to be Gonzalo Pizarro as Indians in red. I forgot about the Indians. Yeah, if it's not working. We don't know what the response that is to, but sure. Gonzalo Pizarro says that. I'm not sure if Doubt would say something like, yeah, but that's not something exclusive either. So one thing I wanted to say is that there were only 2 players in this tournament that picked Indians on this map. I don't want to say the other one because, as I said, I want these to be spoiler-free for YouTube. But this is one of the reasons why I was suspecting Doubt for this player, because I am confident in the other. And these are the 2 players only that are using Indians on this map. India is not a bad civilization to choose for this one because of the shore fishing, but no other player has actually chosen this, and that to me signals a potential teammate connection over here. Other side we'll have Franks for Sunjata. We will have, I think he wanted to go Chinese here, because Chinese obviously have a nice start as well on these maps where you have short fish beneath your TC, but Franks obviously with the double berry patches will be very nice as well. One thing that's interesting is that Khmer was unused, but I just want to show the draft for a moment. Indians was the first pick for Pizarro, so he really trusts this civilization for this map, and Khmer was the second one. And the reason why he picked it that way is because Indians and Khmer are the top 2 civilizations for this map, I believe. Franks is probably the third one. Well, Indians is something that you can argue for, but apparently he likes it. I think Khmer, Franks, Chinese, these are the top civilizations for this one. Since Indians weren't sniped away from him, he is actually going to use it over here. But probably if it was the opponent's snipe, he would have gone for Khmer. So we're going to have a wood line in the middle by Pizarro. And we are going to have the first board in for Sunjata. Once again, a big lag spike for Capture Age. We'll actually take a look at the border from our blue player in a moment, sure, so that you can actually see what is happening over there. Other side, I think we have seen no TC being used for border, which once again is a bit of a clue towards Doubt. So as you see, he is not jumping into a TC. That's something that not a lot of people do. Neither is our blue player jumping inside a TC though, which is somewhat uncharacteristic of Mr. Yo, although I think Mr. Yo is one of those players that does both. So he sometimes jumps into a TC, sometimes does not. Anyways, we will have a scout coming in here for Pizarro. Let's see if he can actually lame some of these War Buffaloes. He will definitely try to take one. Nice move from our blue player. That was a very, very fast reaction. Was somebody identified as a potential Villas? Not yet. I want to see today's games before starting to assign more people, because I don't really remember everything from yesterday, so I want to refresh my memory, seeing what these players do in the second round. Obviously those that actually got into the second round. And once I know who the players are in the second round, I can actually go back and think about who the players are in the first one. I think that's easier that way. So with that, Sunjata is actually playing free on wood on the outside. This village is a little bit isolated and could be picked off by the scout if the scout turned back. Loom now coming in for Sunjata, and that is on a very, very fast fuel age here, which will be eventually 18 pop, even faster than the fuel age of Pizarro. That's a very fast fuel here from Sunjata. For this map, sends out the villagers on wood. This is probably going to be just scouts play from him. Other side for Pizarro, we could see some ships. Indeed, here comes the dock. This is something that I think Pizarro played the exact same play in the previous round. One of the reasons why you can do that, like do the exact same thing in the previous round, is because the thing is that basically the players also see these recorded games right now when they're being casted for the first time. So you don't know what your opponent did in the previous round until you actually meet him. Nice 2 hits over there from Pizarro on the opponent's scout, but he's gonna be behind by 50 seconds, so it's a 2 Vulture difference going into field age between the two players, and it looks like we're gonna have potentially galleys, but I don't see a Voyager being added to gold. That's a Borax for Spearman. And I guess the idea here for Pizarro is to defend with Spearman, potentially on the gold mine and on his food eco, and then go for galleys. Now, from my experience on this map, I feel like Land Army actually is still more valuable than Navy, but it depends a lot. So, if you can use that Navy well to push your opponent off from wood, that could be helpful, but I still believe that there is more potential in denying gold, food, here on land with Land Army, than it is to deny wood in the middle with a Navy. Still, that dog is up, but nothing else, to be honest. So, with that, we are gonna have Pizarro coming in here with a stable himself. Interesting that he's not doing anything on dock. He makes 1 galley, but that's all that he can actually afford right now. He's not mining gold, so this is just 1 galley to sort of turn the tide of battle in his favor. That's actually going to be a tower coming in here from Sunjata, something that I believe that Pizarro does not see. Indeed, he doesn't see it, and that's a very, very good tower. It's only going to be 1 tower from Sunjata, so he's not on stone right now, meaning that he won't drop additional towers, although he could definitely go for stone. And indeed, he's sending Vultures to stone, so he wants to follow this tower rush up with something, and that's already some of the wood lines evacuated. This Red Scout actually does take some damage from the Spearman as well. And there's a galley out for Pizarro, but that's basically it. And he won't be able to go for more. Another hit on that Red Scout, and Red Scouts also run into the tower fire. The Spearman is being chased down by a Tiger, but you can just use one of the Scouts to kill the Tiger without any problems. Now the galley could camp down the bottom of the tower, and that could be something that's a little concerning for Sunjata. You can just run into the tower fire, and you see that Sunjata knows exactly that galley is coming for him, so he's gonna wall in that tower most likely. And it looks like he's indeed going for stone. He wasn't able to afford a mining camp up until now, so he's gonna have a second tower, potentially some round over here. Now, if this is really Mr. Yo is very, very good on these hybrid maps, these amphibious terrain maps. In general, Chinese players play that more frequently than other players do, so they actually are a lot more experienced in that regard. Now, Scout's trying to chase down that galley, and there's going to be a defensive tower for Sunjata. It looks like he's going to bail out on this towering attempt. He will just say, okay, whatever, you can have that wood line. And we'll focus on the land engagement now. He's still on stone, so he's obviously going to drop a defensive tower over here to preserve his wood line against the galley play. He would also probably want to wall that in just to make sure that scouts don't run beneath the tower. But nice move picking off this scout right now. Surprisingly, despite the fact there was quite a lot of early aggression, there is only 2 kills from Sunjata, 1 from Pizarro, so this was a fairly peaceful game. So far, Repair Voyager is in here for Pizarro, but the galley goes down just in time. So Pizarro isn't able to save it. The Voyager joins the party to stab down the Spearman, as we will have the scouts looping around. Pizarro actually has 12 on food, but most of them are, in fact, all of them are on berries. And the mobility of those scouts could actually start becoming a problem over here. Pizarro tries to save that Voyager running to the TC, but I think that is going to be one dead Voyager. Nice snipe over there from Sunjata. Takes 1 hit on the scout, but that was still a reasonable trade. Now defensive spearmen are out everywhere. 2 spearmen on the berries, 1 spearman on these berries, and 1 spearman on the gold mine. But I think this many scouts can actually jump 1 spearman. There's a second one coming in as well. So that is not something that Sunjata can fight with anymore. And oh boy, Sunjata's Voyagers here will actually get intercepted. and I don't think that he was expecting this counterattack. Right now he tried tower, but that's going to be a failure, and there's going to be a couple of scouts pushing him now. He's going to try and fight close to the berries, but once again, he just gets stepped down by the spearman. Defensive tower coming in for Pizarro on his farming eco. Looking at the eco upgrades, there is an extra horse color for Sunjata, but that just comes from the Frankish bonus. Still keeps his scouts alive, as now Pizarro's scouts run into the spearman over here. Galley coming in to try and help out cleaning up those spearmen. There is one random spearman poking down a villager, and that hero spearman, look at that. He stabs down one villager. That's actually good value for that spearman, believe it or not. That was a nice kill. So right now it is one villager killed from both sides. Villager count, however, is in the favor of Pizarro by 2. That is because Sunjata had a lot more TC idle time. Sunjata is at 105. His opponent is at 15 seconds TC idle time only. So this is the part where none of the players will really be able to finish off the opponent, and we'll see who gets to Castle Age first, because whoever gets to Castle Age first is going to have the chance to go for knights, unless you are Indians and you have to go for camels. It's one of the problems that you're facing here, because the camels will be great dealing with the knights. However, you won't really be able to do a lot of damage with the camels themselves, because they don't have a great damage output. Market coming in here for Pizarro. With that gold count, he wants to buy himself up. Same thing is going to be the case for Sunjata. He could be selling a bit of a stones, considering that he's still on stone. In that, he's going to get Town Watch, just to make sure that he sees any potential aggression coming towards his only wood line. Another tower comes in here, just for preemptive measures. It's 11 villagers on the wood line and 2 towers, so you can fit almost everybody in those 2. Pizarro indeed buying himself up right now, and he seems like he's actually beating his opponent into Castle Age. I'm actually very surprised, by the way, how popular this map is amongst the players. I thought this is gonna be the map that no one picks, but I was wrong. This map is apparently super popular for players, and the reason why it's so popular is because it actually is played out as an open map. So, a lot of scout micro. If this was more vulnerable on the outside, this would not be picked by players, but it seems like it's open enough for players to like it. And it is just turning into scout wars oftentimes. It's a bit like a funky version of Atacama, so to say. Very open starting bases, and most of the wood in the middle. So, yeah, it feels like a crazy Atacama, so to say. With that, Castle Age is coming in here for Pizarro, and usually first to Castle Age is gonna have a huge advantage in here. So first to Castle, I'm not going to say wins the game, but it's going to have an insane advantage, because the Castle Age units are going to be so powerful. I like the situation of Sunjata's woodline over here, by the way. The fact that it is quite far away from the opponent is actually really helpful over here. So, second stable on the way for Pizarro. Pizarro could very well think about a demo or so, because his opponent's food eco, or wood eco, is definitely exposed for a demo shot. But it probably will just be double stable camels in this one. Sunjata apparently will be successful picking off a villager over here. That shouldn't really have happened for Pizarro. That's a villager that could have been saved. Still, he's gonna have a 120 advantage into Castle Age here. And even after, what will the Frankish player go for? We're going to see docks. We're going to see docks from Sunjata, or at least one dock. We might see some demos against the camels. I think this is the moment where he's going to start turning into war galleys. He can't just play knights because his knights will be eaten by camels. But I still like camels more than ships here, because camels can hit the eco on the outside a lot better than ships can do. So I think you can do more damage to the opponent's eco on the outside here than on the inside. So land units seem to be superior compared to ships on this map, because you can always fall back to these small woodlands on the outside in case you need wood. But you can't really run in here to go farming in case your food eco on the outside gets pushed. There is just not enough space for farming here. Apparently a sneaky villager coming in here from Sunjata, being chased down by a tiger and 2 spearmen. First camels are in here, and you see they're already starting to pressure the food eco of Sunjata. Sunjata apparently wants to go for fire ships potentially, but the second PC is up for Pizarro. And as I said, even if it's pikemen for Sunjata, mobility advantage could be a problem, and Pizarro could also go for Indian cav archers, and Indian cav archers are actually pretty decent. Vorgali on the way for Sunjata, but now it's a 6 villagers lead for Pizarro, And Pizarro is playing this one really, really well so far. Has lost 2 villagers, but not something that's impossible to compensate. And with that, now he's gonna have... oh boy, those villagers are also open. Those villagers are also open, and camels don't have an insane damage output, but that doesn't mean that they can't kill villagers. They can definitely kill villagers here, and there isn't really a lot of villas garrisoned inside that TC, so the camels won't take a lot of damage here. It is now an 8 villagers lead. Here come the fire ships, but theoretically Pizarro could just go for a couple of demos himself, and more importantly, he can just keep raiding. Yeah, there is going to be a monk to convert one of the camels, but here in this case you could even make a case for Indian light cav that even have the extra pierce armor, so they're a little bit more resistant to potential tower fire or TC fire. And once again, one camel here could just go and kill this villager. A castle drop coming in here for Sunjata though, that's what he was actually gambling on, thanks to the cheaper castle. We'll try to get this one up. This is gonna be a tricky counter tower coming in here. I think if this castle doesn't go up, then Sunjata is out of the game. And it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close, it's not going up. It's definitely not going up. A doubt castle over there from Sunjata. And that pretty much means he's dead. He's behind by 14 villagers now. It is 18 army compared to 9, and that 9 army in reality is 5 fire ships that can't actually stop the camels on the outside from killing the villagers. Once again, Sunjata will actually try this one, and the idea here is that the fire ships are actually so resistant to arrow fire that they will actually just tank the arrow fire, and now the camels can engage. The monk was picked off by the tower, but the castle is actually getting closer. The castle is actually getting closer to going up, and Sunjata is going for an all-in castle here. The thing is that I'm not sure if this all-in castle will be enough though. 96, it is up, but it's a proper doubt castle. Basically, there is no eco left for Sunjata, and if you are Gonzalo Pizarro, it's just it's a little bit tricky where to go, but I think you can just go to this wood line. There is still enough wood here to chop, and Sunjata doesn't really have the eco to drop another castle in your face. But even if you get pushed off from the middle, you can still run back to these wood lines. It's not the end of the world. Those wood lines aren't efficient, but they are enough to compensate, and there is nothing that Sunjata can do to contest the land. He's got 1 spearman, 2 monks, that's it. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's only fire ships for Sunjata, so I think Pizarro is doing the right thing. Bring in the camels, you can even commit to that fight, and you should commit to that fight because that monk has been converting you for quite a while. But now he finds a TC over here. Indian camels deal bonus damage against buildings, but they still are lacking a lot of armor upgrades, so they will die fairly easily, and they will go to this wood line, I believe. A second TC, even a third TC is coming in here for Sunjata, as Pizarro is 9 on stone, so he wants a defensive castle for himself. There is a converted fire ship by Pizarro, and a knight is coming in as well. Knight is gonna get converted, and I think the fire ship will just go down indeed. So the camels for now will be running around, but I feel like it's 62 villagers against 41, 50 pop against 85. I mean, it's technically impossible. It's technically possible for Sunjata to bring this one back, but it would be an insane comeback. His opponent has Boso as well. Sunjata only has heavy blow because he's Franks, and he could be playing for wood control, but I feel like worst case scenario for Pizarro is that he will just keep raiding the outside and cripple the opponent's food eco, and just boom up to Imperial, get his own defensive castle, like bleed that lumber camp, get a defensive castle up over there and trap this one down. That could be very possible for Pizarro. Instead, he's dropping a TC over here on the right side. That makes quite a lot of sense as well. So he's gonna have safe wood income, and it is 22 army against 10. The only thing that actually prevents Pizarro from just absolutely wrecking the food eco or the overall eco of Sunjata here is the monks. But I think that if Pizarro goes for the Indian light cav, he's gonna be able to start cleaning this up. You can commit to this, I think. Just jump on the monk. There is one pikeman as well, but you can still commit to this. There is one converted camel, converted in the final second. But I mean, the potential benefit that you gain from just idling 50% of the opponent's eco is already huge. And as I said, if you're afraid of the monks, you can bring in some light cav. Blacksmith wasn't even in for Sunjata up until now. He's getting it up just now. And those camels could once again hit the stone mine. Camels coming from the other side to hit the gold mine. And it's the idle time for Sunjata that is crazy. 50 minutes compared to 26. And Pizarro is actually going to be close to his own defensive castle. it's 76 vouchers compared to 52. And this feels like a game over in a game where Sunjata doesn't know he's that much behind, I believe. Looks at the score and says, okay, I'm behind, but I don't think that he knows he's that much behind. But the reality is that Pizarro is booming on 4 TCs, even though the voucher production isn't necessarily consistent, but he's still gonna have a superior eco. Now, there is a couple of fire ships coming in here that could be a little bit annoying, and honestly, if you're Sunjata, do you know what you do? You do demos. You make a couple of demos if you're Sunjata, and if you can land 2 good demo hits here, suddenly the ecos are even. Vouchers fighting fire ships, not something that you see very frequently, but it seems like it does work out. And Sunjata wants to buy another castle. That castle's gonna be somewhere around over here, I believe. Or, nope, it's a castle, counter-castle situation. Oh boy! Proper doubt castle. That's a proper doubt castle over there. And these are the demo hits that Sunjata needs to turn this series around. And I feel like Pizarro is struggling a little bit closing this game out. He's not doing enough damage on the outside, and the pikemen seem to be able to hold this one for a time being. Camos aren't really great against pikemen, especially when there is monks supporting, and that's a doubt castle. That's not going up for our red player. There is still a 22 vouchers lead, so by no measurable should Pizarro be able to lose this game. However, as I said, one thing that you could do if you are Sunjata is just get some demos in here. There is nothing that kill those demos. There is no castle, there is no war galleys. 2 demos and this entire eco goes down, I feel like. That's the way for Sunjata back into the game. He's making fire ships right now. The pikemen are also cleaning up the camos. And are we going to see Pizarro falling apart? Because now the only thing that's actually going for him is eco lead. There was a big demo hit as well. And thanks to Capture Age, even though we weren't actually able to see it directly, we can rewatch that blast. So here comes the demo. Sinks 3 villagers. Wasn't really an enormous hit. I feel like the jackpot for Pizarro would be landing 2 demo hits here. If he lands a demo hit here, Capture Age, once again freezing. Okay. I might need to restart at some point in this series. So we're gonna have to get a demo in here. If you can land like 2 or 3 demos here for Sunjata, he definitely has the chance to turn this around, because that would be like minus 10-15 vouchers from Pizarro. He's still 21 vouchers ahead, but he's not actually finishing off Sunjata, and that could be pretty problematic, because if this goes into late game, all the advantage of Pizarro could be gone. He's getting Vorgal upgrade just now for himself, and I think Sunjata is preparing another castle drop. It's going to be Vorgallies and a lot of Vorgallies, so that's what he's preparing, and he's going to try and counterattack this side. It's another castle drop over here. Fire ships will once again stop this, and another castle drop by Sunjata. One of the reasons why Franks is so strong on this map is because they can go for cheap castles. There's the Vorgallies coming in, but the fire ships will force them back. So you still have to be careful, but if that castle goes up once again, this position is gonna be denied from Pizarro, and it looks like that's another doubt castle. I feel like now everybody's craving doubt, even if Pizarro is not doubt, but that was like the second castle that was denied already from him. There was one over here, and this one is also denied, and now it's getting closer and closer, to be honest. In fact, Sunjata is taking over in terms of score lead. The eco difference is fairly considerable still, but look at the resource for Sunjata. Is he actually going to be later to Imperial than his opponent will? Maybe not. Because if you look at Pizarro, as we're gonna have an outpost here, as that is just going to see the castle. So if you look at the resource for Sunjata, all he needs to do is just balance out his eco, and he can click into Imperial. Whereas for Pizarro, he's very, very low on gold right now for this, and with Imperial you can actually start making traps and trap down buildings. So this could still work out for Sunjata, and that would be a sort of an insane comeback. He also could use a couple of demos. He only has 1 demo right now, but demo sniping villagers here would be an excellent move from Sunjata. Could be a possibility as well, by the way, for Pizarro trying to demo snipe villagers here. But I think the biggest problem that Sunjata, or Pizarro is having is that he's not actually pushing the land deco of Pizarro, and that's a nice find. That's a very, very nice find. Just 2 knights from our Frankish player, but once again killing villagers. There's a couple of cav archers here for Pizarro. Look at this move as well from Sunjata. He's converting the high HP cav archer and he's going to trade it to the low HP one. Picks up the relic. Pikemen are now coming in. Still 30 villagers lead, but resource control could be more and more problematic for Pizarro, who is gonna be a minute behind to Imperial. And here comes the demo. Here comes the demo, and it's going to ram a farm. That was the most disappointing demo hit I've ever seen. That demo had so much potential. So much potential, and it was wasted on a farm. It could have just killed like 10 villagers. Still, those war galleys are now cornered. Careening is also in for those fire ships. So fire ships will clean up the war galleys, and suddenly things are getting rougher and rougher for Pizarro over here. Could it be that ships can't cross farms? I think ships can cross farms. But I have no idea about this, honestly. Because technically they're never supposed to. The original game code doesn't contain ships actually being able to go through farms. Because at that time this amphibious terrain wasn't a thing. This was actually implemented in the Southeast Asian patch, or not really DLC, but it actually was a DLC to AoE 2 HD. The Southeast Asian DLC. It was implemented there. Ever since then we have these boglands. Another castle comes in here for Sunjata. He is getting traps out already on multiple castles, very nicely done. And another castle comes in here for Sunjata, now limiting the outside movement of his opponent, and he's all about playing for map control. Stables will be attempted on the right side by Pizarro to get some counter raiding, but look at all those castles being spammed out by our blue player. Even fast fires are coming in here for our Frankish player, and now Sunjata has a firm control over this game, starts stepping down that castle. I think the only problem that Sunjata doesn't have is like actual army, so it's like castles plus a couple of ships sort of a scenario. If this castle goes up, that's gonna be a disaster for Pizarro as well, and this is Pizarro's only castle. If he loses this castle, he won't have trebs. He will actually find a couple of villagers over here, but the villagers will just run for the pond, and the fast fire will actually deal with them. Castle is up, and that means that once again Pizarro has to run. Look at the villager count. Pizarro is slowly losing his lead, especially with that castle being taken down. Apparently the villagers were misclicked or something, because the villagers are not repairing the castle. I think Pizarro just noticed that the villagers weren't repairing the castle, because I think he tasked those 5 villagers to repair. It doesn't really matter, because 2 traps would have been more than enough to take down a castle with 5 repair villagers, but it's still something. Left side, now is a trap being set up, and it's all about castles and traps, even throwing axemen coming in. Just castles, traps. And there is going to be another castle being dropped soon, I believe, by Sunjata. He's at 500 stone. The middle has a lot of stone to work with, and indeed that villager blob is actually moving out for another castle over here, and that would potentially deny the majority of the accessible wood for Sunjata, or for Pizarro. And you can actually be on the wood on the outside for some time, but it's not going to be very efficient in the long run. So you don't want to stay on the outside only in post-Imperial. Scale barding coming in, so we might see some knights being added. Indeed, we could actually start transitioning to the Night Flood of Franks in this one. Now TCs are going down, and it looks like there is no castle over here just yet. Instead, for now, Pizarro just wants to mine some stone. Now his army is still not convincing me. It's 2 demos, 2 fire ships, 12 pikemen. So technically, these villagers and these traps could go down very, very easily. If Sunjata starts mixing in actual army, then Pizarro is in big trouble. Fast fire coming in here to clean up the what is that? Light cav. Villagers repairing the traps, and here come the pikemen. And pikemen have bonus damage against ships, so they're actually fairly decent when it comes to killing fire ships. Eventually the traps will go down, but well, it will be traded to quite a lot of fire ships here if you take a look. So that's gonna be like 2 or 3 fire ships going down as well. And now Sunjata is coming in here with the fire ships. Here comes the demo. Here comes the demo, and that could sink a lot of villagers. boom go the Villagers, and it could have been even more, to be honest. The Villagers were a little bit better positioned. Pizarro still has the eco lead, but I feel like the more I'm looking at this game, the more I'm seeing Sunjata taking over. 35 military compared to 22. It's soon gonna be Cavalier, and technically Indians have the access to camos. They don't really have the gold for that right now. In fact, Daoud's actually floating a lot of gold. He's going for the Indian Hussars, which is alright, but he's gonna need something as the Cavalier. And it's going to take quite a lot of time to tech into heavy camo, that's the problem. That heavy camo, imp camo take a lot of time to get to, and light cav won't stop the Cavalier. And Sunjata can defend with pikemen or just make his own Cavalier. Another castle comes in here, Trab taking down the TC, as Pizarro will officially be off from all the wood in the middle. And now Cavalier is running around. Pizarro still has the population lead, and so does he have the eco lead, as he's doing quite a lot of raiding damage himself. But it's about the map control, I believe, that's problematic, even though this Trab is shelling this castle down hills. Still, the TC goes down and like Villagers dying left and right. Sunjata also has a lot of Cavalier coming in here. He could try and take down those Trap, that's the idea probably. And if those Cavalier find those 10 Villagers, that's gonna be a jackpot as well for Sunjata. He is slowly cleaning up the raids inside his eco, going for Scalemate, so he's actually going to get some more infantry upgrades. Now takes down the Trab over here. One Trab goes down. The second Trab is gonna go down just before the castle is finished off. Everything seems to be going in the favor now for Sunjata. And I feel like this late game, what we are seeing here is also a big fish. Once again, sort of a confirmation that this could be Misteo, because this post-team is very, very clean. He knows how to deal with the raids, knows how to follow it up, and really, he's just doing so much damage to Pizarro's eco. Pizarro still has the population, the Voyager, and even the military lead, but I feel like Pizarro is just sort of stuck in the position of trying to raid, but constantly losing control over the map. And like, see, he has to make a defensive castle inside the farming eco to prevent the Cavalier from just wrecking him. And now it's gonna be Trab firing up hills against the castle. Fire ships will dive in and try to finish off the Trab, but they died really easily over here. Some more Hussars are still running around. And I feel like the only thing that Sunjata needs is more Cavalier, because he doesn't really have an amazing production, and he could definitely afford to go for some more Cavalier. He's got good upgrades on them, Halberdier just now coming in, so he's gonna be well defended against the light cav. And now once again he's shelling this TC. He's just everywhere. He's just everywhere, and once again he will dive in to snipe the Trabs even if he can't save the castle. Killing 3 Trabs over here is actually good value, especially if you take down that TC. And it looks like Pizarro actually wants to go for Cav Archer, but I feel like these Cav Archers are missing so many upgrades still. They do have bloodlines, ballistics, actually they are pretty well upgraded, but oftentimes the Cavalier flood from Franks is good enough to deal with the Cav Archers. Halberdier is just eating the light cav here on the right side as a TC comes in on that gold mine for Sunjata. 116 Voyagers against 123, and we have seen like a 30-40 Voyagers lead disappear for Pizarro, who is now 2000 score behind, and he's trying to do his best in terms of raiding, and he's doing a decent job. But I don't think it's gonna be enough. I just don't think it's gonna be enough. We even had a monk converting a Voyager here in the corner. That's going to start dropping stables to raid this wood line. Remember that map control is a disaster right now for Pizarro. It's just an absolute disaster. Still, we get some light caps running around, and one thing that Sunjata doesn't have here is mobility. Something that he still has to be careful about. Lack of mobility could still backfire here. He doesn't really have enough Cavalier, still just 6 on the field. The thing is that now you start thinking about light cav raids, but still try to go for some Cavalier, like have one big force of Cavalier that is actually capable of destroying these Cav Archers. Now, the Cav Archers will be picking off Voyagers left and right over here, but there is stables in, and remember that Pizarro is really struggling for wood. He's trying to get to the wood lines, but the thing is that he has to replace those lumber camps so frequently. Big light cav raid coming in on the right side. Halberdiers could actually help out against this one. There is just so many places to look at. This is full macro war late game, and honestly Pizarro still has a chance here. He can raid his opponent's eco to death because his army is much better. 29 Hussar, 28 Cav Archers versus what? 27 Halberdiers, 14 Cavalier. The army is way better for Pizarro right now. And Sunjata is struggling a little bit finishing off his opponent, I believe. So he's in a winning position, but he's just unable to bring in the final piece of ingredient that is actually needed. And look at that, Sunjata is actually placing farming eco over here because he's got no place to do farming at. Now he's gonna bring in the Cavalier, but it's only 12 Cavalier. So I'm not necessarily impressed about their chances here. We also have some Halberdiers coming in, so the cavalry archers will have to go hit and run. And they might run into the castle fire here. Still, Hussars on the right side, and there is a legitimate chance that Pizarro turns this around, because, as I said, one thing I massively dislike for Sunjata's position is the lack of land army. He's making fire ship, congratulations, but you gotta be able to finish off your opponent. Now, the Cavalier are slowly chasing down the Cav archers. There is only double bit axe. Sunjata never even got bows, so oh my goodness. It's only double bit axe. The KD is massively in the favor of Sunjata because he's killing a lot of light cav with the Halberdiers. But really, it is 50 army, but out of that, quite a lot of that is Halberdiers that will just die to the Cav archers. Fire ships coming in once again. Cavaliers on the right side. 168 population is 175. This game is still completely open. So Sunjata will probably drop some more castles. You could actually make a case for a castle here, I believe. And now many of the Cav archers will actually get just absolutely shredded by those fire ships. And really, Sunjata is playing for wood control, but reality is that there is enough wood on the outside for Pizarro to hold on. Now this is finally starting to be a good raid coming in with the Halberdiers and some cavalry. So Pizarro is dropping in villager count actually lower than his opponent now, although that might not last long. Villager KD 101 against 101. That's so close. There's just raid after raid. It's about who raids the opponent better. This is full-on post-Imperial War, and really, I really feel like Sunjata doesn't deserve this win because he wasn't able to close out the game. He had an insane lead, but he never actually made enough land army. And now he's down to 4 villagers on gold, and look at that. The resource retention of those Cav archers is insanely high. How are you even going to kill those Cav archers with Franks right now? Blast Furnace just now coming in. There was a TC attempted here by Sunjata, who is trying to deny this gold mine with a couple of Cavalier. So his opponent isn't really having a lot of gold either. 113 villagers against 107. This castle is slowly going down, and all that effort to deny the wood is probably gonna be in vain, because I don't think that that castle stays up, and that means that, now, once again, Pizarro has wood. I feel like wood denial is not the thing to do on this map. It's just not gonna work out. There is enough wood in the outside to make it possible for you to launch a counterattack against the middle and simultaneously just raid the opponent's equal to death. Still, this is very open for both players. We have a castle up on the right side. It's an extremely important castle because it secures a gold mine for Sunjata. And we also should add the fact that there's 3 relics for Sunjata, 0 for Pizarro. And if those Cav archers go down, replenishing them is going to be really challenging because of the gold cost. So soon this is going to turn into a gold denial. Again, finally light Cav coming in here for Sunjata. He has moved his food eco to the middle now because he realized that that's where his defensive castles are at. Light Cav will run into the Halberdier, but it's still 51 Halberdier against 32 Cav archers. Cav archers will just laugh at that. There is nothing that Sunjata can do against the Cav archers right now. It looks like he's actually going to start pushing with rams on this side. If he actually had villagers on this gold and made Cavalier, I would say that he can just overrun this one with Cavalier. But that doesn't seem to be the case. A random camel is also mixed in. And now the Cav archers will just be happily laughing at those Halberdiers. Or the Halberdiers could just run at the Cav archers, and Pizarro has to be careful. Pizarro has to be very careful, though the Halberdiers are focusing on the trebs. I think it would have been honestly better if you just let this castle die and kill 20 Cav archers with the Halberdiers at this point, because you need to find a way to kill the CA. Still, as I said, Sunjata is getting punished for not having land army working for him, or something that's very mobile. I think he had the option to go for a Cavalier a long time ago, but he didn't really capitalize on that. There is still 7 on gold for Pizarro, and he can also sell some stone himself. But look at this raid. Look at this rate from Sunjata, and Pizarro is dropping down to 100 Villagers. You can see that both of these players are crazy late game players. I feel like if Sunjata wins from this position, that is also sort of a bit of a confirmation towards Mr. Yo, because that would be an insane win. If even after losing all those Villagers and sort of being like massively out-armied. I was trying to find a good word for this one, but what is even a good word for this? Red Army is just way better than Sunjata. It's all about raiding right now. For him, he's 185 population only, by the way. He's housed. He's housed at 185, needs to make more houses in here, partially because he lost some PCs. Now the Halberdiers will actually get some nice pokes on the Cav Archers, but still no answer to the CA right now. There is even a random militia mixed in. Next CA of Cav or Light Cavs coming in, and heavy demos. Heavy demos coming in here for Sunjata. I think he wants to get like one big blob of heavy demos and sink that entire army. Still, now Pizarro is down to 95 Vultures, 160 population, but the same is going to be the case for Sunjata. He's going to lose like 20 vills here. More Light Cav running around over here. Light Cav's also pushing right side. 5 Vultures on gold for Pizarro, 6 on gold for Sunjata. Sunjata loses the Halberdiers here as well, but he's waiting for the heavy demos. I think if he gets a heavy demo hit on the Cav Archers, if this blob of Cav Archers die, I think it's a game for Sunjata. But until those Cav Archers are alive, the hope is alive for Pizarro as well. And you see that the score is also rather close. Both players have an insanely massy eco. This is basically, oh, here come the demos, but I think that's a little bit premature. Only 2 demos, and you don't want to trigger them with the trap. And that, I'm not sure if that's actually worth it, but it slows down the progress of this push, and that's important, because you don't want to lose that TC to the traps. Same thing over here, you don't want to lose this castle to the traps over here. We do have some small raids coming in here from Pizarro, but not something crazy. 27 Light Cav against 29 Hussar, and look at this. Like, Pizarro is trying to go for this gold mine, but he's just unable to. There is just the constant push, and I want to point out that this 2 stables actually come from a villager that was converted, and now a disaster fight over here for Pizarro. Oh my goodness, that's a disaster. He was probably looking elsewhere, but that's minus 10 Cav Archers over there. Something that he can't afford to lose, especially with now Halberdiers flooding. And as I said, this was from a converted villager. And that converted villager made 2 stables here, allowing the spam of Light Cav in here, denying that gold mine. It's 80 villagers only now for Gonzalo Pizarro. And once again, the Cav Archers get surrounded by Halberdiers. What a game this is. And now it's no Cav Archers. And without Cav Archers, we're not gonna stop the Halberdier flood, as Sunjata is trying to save that castle by sniping down the trap over there as well. Sunjata is playing like a beast. And really, what we're seeing here is a very Yo-like post-Imperial. 113 populations, 180. And Pizarro also probably believed in this one. This is not a game over. This is a capture H freeze once again. But I'll restart it after and should have no trouble. Yeah, this game is over. It's 92 population. And this hurts for Pizarro a lot, because for a moment he thought he can come back. It seemed like a lost game, but then he suddenly started coming back into this one, and it is his home map. Losing his home map like this seemed like he can make a comeback, and then Sunjata still closes out the game. Now it's over. It's 69 population overall, no villagers, no army, and from this point on, Sunjata can do whatever he wants. It's 5 Light Cav, 3 Cav Archers, and 63 villagers. And Pizarro just says GGT. Sunjata takes game number 2 as well. A very long, lengthy post-Imperial game where many factors can be considered. Gold count was fairly close. Sunjata actually had a lot more relic gold though. In fact, his opponent never picked up a single relic. Wood count was way better for Pizarro though, surprisingly, despite the fact that Pizarro was the one off from wood for so long. Food count very even. And look at this. Look at this drop in the final moment. This is basically the raids from Sunjata. And indeed, the difference between the 2 players was that at some point, the raids from Pizarro actually stopped, and they never stopped from Sunjata. He just kept sending in Light Cav after Light Cav, raiding getting those tables up in the corner to deny the gold mine. There were so many good moves from Sunjata, and he outlasted his opponent in Imperial Age. Sunjata takes game number 1, or game number 2 as well. Alright, it appears that we do not have any time to rest. Robo was already sending game number 3 recorded game. So I guess we're just going to jump inside. I will actually restart Capture Age because we had these freeze issues. But other than that, we will be jumping inside game number 3. And we're going to the second home map of Sunjata. Oh no, for Pizarro. And that is Bypass. And we are going to have a Turkish pick over here. We will have Pizarro on the right side playing as Turks in red. Left side is going to be Malay for Sunjata. I think 2 civilizations that I can imagine both Yo picking Malay and also a Turks pick as well from Sunjata or from Pizarro if it's actually doubt. With that, here's Bypass. As you see, this is a version of Hideout where the middle is open. This is running sand, so you can build on it, but it's only possible separating the 2 players. From my experience, it is very possible to drag this game out long, and what you have to do for that is make your houses in Dark Age and like buildings in general to reinforce this wall. Question, who doesn't usually go for relics in late game? A lot of players, but I don't think that's relevant because there was so many things to do in that game other than collecting relics. So with that, we will have Sunjata squeezing in a Voyager in between the wood line and the lumber camp. We will have him in blue as Malay. Malay is definitely a civilization that has crazy power spikes, but I think Turks could have their options against them. If you are Turks here, I think what you can mostly count on is FC into Janissaries. You drop a castle here because that would prevent any kind of push through the middle, and then push with Janissaries and Mangonels. By the way, we have a double deer push here from Sunjata. Look at that. He pushed in 2 deer at the same time through the gate, and that's going to be really, really efficient. Other side, it looks like we have 1 deer being pushed in as well by a Pizarro. And, well, that zebra changed his mind, so he's gonna walk back a tiny bit. So, first boar coming in as well for Sunjata. That's gonna be a little bit of an oversaturation of huntables beneath that PC. Not necessarily ideal, but it's fine still for Sunjata. So, what can Malay do here? Malay can do a lot of things, to be honest. I think that this opening in the middle, as we're gonna have Pizarro coming in to wall this off on this side, that is definitely possible, and what it would give you is information. In case your opponent wants to attack you, you can just see what he's pushing with here in the middle. We'll see if Sunjata is actually going to react to this one and send a Voyager to try and scare this one away, but it seems like for now, Pizarro just wants to drop a house there, and then obviously it's going to be a layer of palisades, which, as I said, helps quite a bit, and I would think that Pizarro could very well be going for an FC Janissaries build. Now, it's only 3 on wood for Pizarro, which is somewhat unconventional for an FC build, but I don't think he would just be playing scouts. That would be very, very surprising. Technically, a tower rush is not impossible on this map either, especially if you actually walled off your opponent in the middle. But I would think it's probably going to be very unlikely to see a tower rush on this one. So with that, apparently Sunjata is having a bit of a trouble pushing in that final ostrich. Other side, we are gonna have Pizarro finishing off these walls over here. He already has 1 boar in. Already pushed in 1 deer, but he's struggling a little bit with the other 2. Might actually be able to do a double push, but nope. He's just going to decide that he will play with a single zebra being pushed in. Nicely done over there, and now he needs to close the gate in order to make sure that the zebra doesn't run back home. It's not something that Pizarro does. You can actually keep the gate open, but it's safer if you close the gate. So you take away the goat from there, send it over there, and that way you actually have a bit of a safer option over here. Farms being added quite early on over here by Pizarro, also a bit of a sign towards a fast castle. although he's actually adding Voyagers on gold as well already. Other side, what do we have for Sunjata? He's 4 on wood. It could just be a melee fast castle. The real question is, what are you going to do with melee fast castle here? If you really want to gamble, a melee fast imp and arbalest play with bombard cannon could actually be pretty devastating against Turks, but it's a very, very risky one. So if you get pushed by Janissaries in the middle, you could be in trouble with a fast imp, although melee fast imp can be pretty tough to deal with. So, especially if you consider that a fast castle Janissaries play is probably going to be something like 27, 28 plus 2. A melee fast imp could be something that you could gamble on. I think it's risky, but it could pay off. Feudal Age coming in here for Sunjata. That's a very, very fast feudal though. 24 Voyagers with melee. Is he gonna have the resources for Castle Age? It's somewhat doubtful. Did he forget that he's melee? Because I think with melee you wanna click up later. Or the alternative is that you go up to Feudal Age fast, and then you add more Voyagers in feudal and potentially even grab some eco upgrades. That could be very possible, that Sunjata is just going to go for a fast feudal here. Because with 24 Voyagers, melee click up is something like 22-ish timing for other civilizations. And then just go for eco upgrades. So, Bidax. The food might be enough. And Market Blacksmith. This is going to be a very, very tight fast castle. This is a very tight fast castle, and it's going to involve in like selling resources. It might be selling stone, but I think it could be just selling wood. You could tell it's a sell strategy by the fact that he actually went for loom as in feudal. Because if you sell 200 stone, you'll probably get more gold than what you need. So instead of adding 2 villagers, in feudal age you add loom and 1 villager. That way you save some food, and you still indeed are gonna have a crazy fast castle here. This is super fast, and melee have nice monk pushes too. In fact, that's gonna be a lot of villagers on gold. 7 on gold feels like a double monastery play here from Sunjata. Whereas for Pizarro, he seems like he's doing 26 plus 2, but 26 plus 2 into what is the question? He's not mining stone, so it's not Janissaries. So I'm a bit unsure. But this is a very, very tight build. This is a crazy tight build for Sunjata, and it was a very, very nice one. 1 second T idle time with a 24 plus 1 and loom with melee is insane. That is someone that has had extremely good execution over here. So Castle Age will be available for Pizarro, and it seems like Pizarro just wants to go for Relic Collection. Stable Blacksmith here. No Janissaries for the time being. So what is Sunjata going to do here? Siege Workshop, and at this point Pizarro should be scared. I mean, look at Pizarro. He's gonna need 2.5 minutes to get into Castle, and his opponent is already in Castle. And that means that we're gonna have a siege push here. And this is why I said that I feel like if you are playing for a no castle drop strategy, then you have to reinforce this wall a tiny bit, because Palisade walls alone won't save you. If you had the houses here, or potentially the blacksmith here, it would actually buy you some time. And it is going to be a pikeman siege push. For now it's a battering ram, which makes some sense getting through the walls, although you could make a better case for a mangonel, to be honest. Because a mangonel would be able to potentially deny additional layers being added. I think there will be a mangonel coming, but it's probably going to be pikeman siege, soon be supported by monks as well. Here comes the mangonel. And indeed the gate goes down. So what is Pizarro going to do to deal with this one? He's going to add a couple of scouts. This is why you don't go for monk and siege here, because the Turks will have the free light cav upgrade, so it makes sense for them to go for light cav and scouts. Instead you go for pike and siege. See that the spearmen are already coming out. And after that you can actually add mangonel, and this stone mine is dangerously exposed for Pizarro. So if he loses that stone mine, he's not even going to have the chance to go for a defensive castle. The next closest stone mine is over here, which is not something I would call super safe. Light cav now coming in. Well, it's just scouts right now, but they will be light cav in a matter of moments. Decent ground attack over there from our blue player. Actually hits the scouts. Nice zigzag over there from the red scouts. And now it's light cav. The mangonel is probably going to go down. There is going to be no more spearmen coming in for Sunjata, and this is a little bit of a letdown, to be honest, for this push. It's like 1 spearman, 1 ram to knock down walls. Pizarro actually went for no loom strategy, Now it's gonna be another Mangonel with a Spearman. But I feel like this push here isn't impressing me. I just like what Pizarro is doing a lot better. This might have been a way too tight build for this early fast castle push, because it currently seems like Sunjata is just unable to afford the castle age push. The siege weapons are quite expensive. You gotta go for Spearman as well. There is a monastery in case there will be knights mixed in, but I feel like light cavs are just doing an excellent job. Nice ground attack over there from Sunjata, but I feel like Sunjata is just playing this one bad. I think you should have expected Turks, because if there is one map where Turks are being used, it's going to be this one. I'm not sure what he was expecting, but this shouldn't work against an FC castle drop play. It was a 26+2, so Sunjata should have known that it could technically be a fast castle drop play, and this would be a bad idea against that. Or it could just be, you know, standard free TC boom play from Pizarro here, and indeed that is the plan. He's actually adding a TC here on the outside, going for all the huntables and berries. That's a nice idea, because Sunjata is pushing with Siege and Spearman in the middle. It's very unlikely Sunjata has vision over this area, especially considering that his scout was killed. So you see that there's no scout here for Sunjata, which means that a TC in here is going to be completely hidden from Sunjata, and what it gives you is a very, very good food eco. And one of the problems when it comes to fast castle booms with free TCs and simultaneously making army is that you don't really have the early food eco for that. And this actually solves the problem with the hunt and the berries. So the extra food is very, very nice from Pizarro. Here comes the Mangonel now with a couple of Spearmen, but as long as those are not pikemen, this isn't going to work well. And the light calves will once again try to dive in. Some Scorpions helping out as well, but once again the Mangonel is going to get picked off. I feel like as good as Sunjata has been playing in the first two games, this is a full disaster game plan and execution from him as well. I just don't like it at all. I don't get why he wants a Monastery and Sanctity against a save that already has light cav on the field. There's going to be no knights whatsoever. Like, unless this is Redemption Monks to convert some buildings, I don't get this. Pikeman upgrade would be so much more important. He's getting Sanctity, Horse Color. This feels like a bad idea. Like, it could be against the opponent's Mangonels, but honestly, Pizarro doesn't even need Mangonels. He's fine with his own light cav, because the spears aren't amazing against the light cav. I feel like I really don't like what Sunjata is doing here. And I don't know where this game is heading for him. So I feel like this is just going to be him trying to do something here, will ultimately fail to do so. Nice ground attack over there from our red player, although most of the light cav are now dead. So if there is any opportunity for Sunjata, it's now, because now there is no light cav on the field. It's 0 light cav. Sunjata is going to bring in the Mangonel and lands a big shot. I think that the only chance for Sunjata here is if he can somehow carve out a bit of a map control here in the middle for himself and then drop a cast in the opponent's face. He started mining gold, which could be for additional TCs because it's only 3 villagers. But yeah, it's Redemption Monks for Siege, but just get pikemen. If Sunjata gets pikemen here, I'm going to start believing that Pizarro is in big trouble, because the pikemen will just eat the light cav. On the other hand, it looks like Pizarro stops making light cav, which feels like a mistake to me here. You need light cav against the monks and siege, because you see the monastery, it's gonna be monk and siege, not pike and siege anymore. If you had light cav, you would have no trouble here. But you don't have light cav anymore, and that's a problem. He's 3 DCs, 12 villagers lead, but his food eco here in the middle is gonna get pressured quite heavily, and he's, more importantly, unable to access his stone mine, which means that he's going to be completely unable to drop a defensive castle. It looks like it's a second TC right now for Sunjata, moving to the outside as well. And now, I feel like this push is actually getting stronger and stronger. Monk coming in here to get the conversion. Redemption is always good when you have siege weapons of your opponent coming in. Sanctity is also super helpful for that. And that light cav was actually converted lightning fast, to be honest. But I think that Pizarro still needs to keep adding light cav. He needs to consistently add light cav. The tricky thing is that if he adds light cav, he's unable to make his TCs work. So he doesn't really have the food eco to keep adding light cav and make all 3 TCs work at the same time. You still need to prioritize light cav, I believe, because you need to be able to take down those monks and those mangonels. And there is no mangonel coming in right now for Pizarro. And Suddenly this push is getting scarier and scarier. I feel like if Sunjata even grabs Spikeman upgrade, I'm going to start believing that this is going to be something, and he's killing Voyagers over here. 4th TC coming in right now for Pizarro. Soon, however, I think the biggest problem for Pizarro could be accessing wood. In fact, if Sunjata focuses down this TC with the Manganols, he only has one Manganol right now, second one is just now coming in. Manganol out as well for Pizarro. If he focuses down this TC, he could force off Pizarro from wood. And once again, Redemption Monk coming in here. TC shooting at the Monk right now. Other Monk is healing. Here come the Light Cav, and once again the Spearmen are massively mispositioned. As the Monks are trying to get some conversions in. Manganol comes in as well. Nice micro from Sunjata. As the score is evening out, it's a 1-4-0. And suddenly this push is getting scarier and scarier. And I did mention that I think that Malay cannot do anything against Turks that drop a castle in the middle and go for Janissaries, at least in early Castle Age. Because they can't push through the middle. But considering that the middle is wide open right now, the Malay player is able to push through. There's going to be a Monk trying to convert the Spearman, but that's not going to succeed either. And now the Manganols are slowly taking down the TC. The first TC could be falling from Pizarro. He's still on a 4, and he's got a 22 Voyagers lead. However, you soon start to have considering that once these TCs are down, it's gonna get really scary for Pizarro, but here's the moment that he's waiting for. Jumping on the Monks with the Light Cav, and that was an excellent fight for him. He's going to take down the siege weapons. The Spearman is still alive, but this was excellent for Pizarro to slow down this push. And I feel like if you're Pizarro, you're indeed thinking about the castle right now. You want the castle somewhere around over here, and with that other stone mine, you're actually going to be able to afford it rather soon. This push needed to destroy this TC, I believe, for Sunjata to work out. It looks like we're gonna have Cav Archers. Oh, Doughty. Seems very, very Dark-like, because every game we're seeing Cav Archers. Obviously, Indian Cav Archers, Hunnic Cav Archers, Turkish Cav Archers are all very, very good units. But this definitely feels like a Cav Archer play as well from Doubt, with a defensive castle soon. But don't sleep on Sunjata, who I think should buy 100 stone and drop a castle here. Indeed, Sunjata is buying the stone, not a lot of Voyagers on the front, and it's gonna turn into potentially a castle versus counter castle. I think Sunjata needs to pull like 5 more Voyagers and drop a castle here. If that castle goes up, it's a completely different story, because it's going to cause a lot of chaos for Pizarro, who by the way picked up 3 relics, so that's also a nice little extra gold income. Here comes the castle. As now Sunjata knows about this forward position for Pizarro, as the Light Cap for Pizarro will actually loop around and try to hit the eco of Sunjata. Here's the castle. Double Manganols are out there though, and only 6 Voyagers constructing it, so this is a tricky castle for Sunjata to get up. I'm not 100% sure if he can get this up easily. I think he needs more Voyagers for that. Tries to convert the Manganols. 3 Voyagers go down, but the Manganol does get converted. Now Red is going to have to jump into the TC to finish off that Manganol. Not enough Voyagers constructing this castle though, that's my problem. It buys a lot of time for Pizarro to react. Pizarro will also get some raiding done on the outside. Turkish Cav or Light Cav have extra Pierce Armor. In Castle Age you see that there is no upgrades on these guys, but there is one extra Pierce Armor that helps a little bit when it comes to surviving TC fire. And now it's Knights though. Now it's Knights from Sunjata, and he starts pushing the outside. He's still behind by 35 Villagers, but we have seen a game before in this series where Sunjata was massively behind Nico, but ended up winning the game with some insane aggression and map control. And the thing is that this map is somewhat similar to a mud flow in the aspect that most of the wood is in the middle, and you see that Pizarro has to do some mass migration. Cav Archers are slowly being messed up by Pizarro, and he could still do some nice raiding damage on the side of Sunjata, but oh, look at this Light Cav getting absolutely torn apart by the pikemen. And that castle is actually really helpful here. Minus 2 TCs for Pizarro, and most importantly, the wood income is what is going to collapse really badly over here. And if you take a look at Sunjata, he's once again taking over. In this one, he's going to bring in the Monk to convert that Siege Workshop. The Siege Workshop does have a Manganol inside, but he's actually bringing in the Redemption Monks, starting to convert buildings. Manganol pops out, tries to land a shot, but Doubt has to lead that building. Next building is up, and really, now Sunjata's push is actually starting to materialize really well. Cav Archers are now out for Pizarro, and he's still picking off villagers from Sunjata. He will have to react with a siege workshop. Defensive castle is up for Pizarro as he's trying to, you know, transition his entire eco to the northern part of the map. But still, look at this. A stable was converted, now a barracks will be converted. And soon, I feel like Sunjata is going to start catching up to his opponent in terms of economy. So his 3 TCs, a 4th one will probably be denied, but he has managed to do a lot of damage to Pizarro's eco. Pizarro is at 53 minutes idle time, and these buildings getting converted also is annoying. Plus you could also grab free relics here if you're Sunjata. You take away these free relics and take it into this monastery, and that's going to be fine as well. You could even convert the blacksmith, which would be annoying for Pizarro because Pizarro wants to get upgrades for his units. The game plan for Pizarro here is to break through this gate with the cav archers and try to do some raiding, just like he did in the first game. Scorpions are out to defend, but the mobility factor is a problem over there. Couple of knights once again picking off villagers, and Sunjata is resilient. He wants to get that TC up over there. Look at the villager counts, once again getting closer, and I feel like there will be just so much to rebuild for Pizarro. Like, he's gonna be doing some raiding, but at the end of the day, Sunjata killed more villagers, and he's taking down important buildings like Blacksmith, Monastery, taking away relics, so obviously free relics will actually help quite a bit. And it seems like we're gonna have another castle coming in here for Pizarro. Pizarro is not far away from Imperial either, if he balances out his eco, and that could be something to consider. First to Imperial could win the game, because of the traps that could come in. Still, Sunjata has the score lead, but this is tricky. Because, for example, things like this shouldn't be happening to him, and the cav archers can still be troublesome to deal with. So once again, we're seeing cav archers and Sunjata having problems dealing with cav archers. This castle definitely goes up, forcing Sunjata back for the time being. He actually pretty much destroyed the starting base of his opponent here. But Pizarro actually rebuilt himself on north quite nicely, and that's an imp for Pizarro. I feel like that imp seals the deal here. He's got still 20 villagers advantage and Imperial Age advantage by a massive margin. I don't think that Sunjata is getting into Imperial anytime soon, to be honest. So, Scorpions coming in on the cav archers. But once again, mobility is a bit of a problem here. It's actually a big problem for Sunjata. Now we have to keep in mind that there are Rams, Scorpions, Monks, Manganos coming in here, and they will just go for conversions on the ranges. And production could be a problem for Pizarro if he loses these ranges. And he doesn't really have the cav archers to engage this one. He might try sniping the Monks though, and he should. He should snipe the Monks here. Pizarro is not paying attention to this one right now. Cav archers pop out and all 3 of the ranges getting deleted. This actually is causing a lot of problems for Pizarro over here. He's got 23 cav archers on the field, but Sunjata, he could actually start thinking about balancing out his eco. And one thing that Malay gives you in this scenario is the ability to react to the opponent's faster Imperial here. So once you see that the Turkish player is up to Imp, you can buy yourself up and you will be up to Imperial much faster. Well, not much faster, but you can react to that very nicely. So it doesn't take that much time for you to get into Imperial. A cav archer was also converted over here, and this is still scary, I believe, for Pizarro, because one thing he doesn't really have is production. He's just rebuilding his production over here. I feel like Arbalest from Sunjata and Imperial could still finish off the game, and I would think that right in the moment that Pizarro reaches Imperial, Sunjata will actually react, buy himself up, and pick up to Imperial. And why do I have the feeling that this game is shaping out similarly to the previous one? We do have stone walls coming in here for Pizarro, trying to protect the right side. But really, it's about the cav archers being unable to do enough killing. And you see, immediately, as Pizarro reaches Imperial, Sunjata is going to play game himself. And as I said, Malay can always react very fast because of their faster age up. And market going down, these are small things, but they are actually very annoying. Like losing stables to the opponent like this, market going down, you always have to rebuild those buildings, and that hurts quite a bit. And at the end of the day, Sunjata, he's actually teching into Arbalest. Could be Elite Skirm as well, but I feel like Arbalest is a little bit more general purpose unit. There is going to be double traps coming in here for Pizarro. We'll see if he moves the traps to the left side, and it seems like he will. So he will actually push this side. But this also means that Sunjata is going to have the freedom to push this side here rather soon. The stable even is getting converted over here. And Crossbow just now coming in. Indeed, it's an Arbalest play from Sunjata. I don't think that Sunjata can actually hold this castle, so the question is if he's gonna build another castle somewhere around over here. Right now he can't afford it, as he's up to Imperial, Crossbow is in, Arbalest Chemistry Bracer needs to kick in, but more importantly Botkin first, and the trap immediately for Sunjata. Fast Chemistry even before Botkin arrow. The reason why is because you want to bring in some bombard cannons to snap down those traps. This castle is just going to delay the push, but it's not going to be able to stop it by any means. So you're probably waiting for a bombard cannon from this siege workshop if you're Sunjata. Trying to get some arbalests out on field, but as I said, still without Botkin arrow. I wonder if he actually forgot about Botkin, because he definitely forgot about double bit axe. Or what is that? Boso. He's got bit axe, but not Boso. And it looks like he will actually try trapping down this PC on the right side, because that would expose all these villagers to his push. That's a decent idea. It's fairly exposed. I don't think that Pizarro can stop this one, although he will definitely try to. Scorpions now being picked off by the Cav Archers. As it looks like this table is gonna go down, doesn't really matter right now. Chemistry is in a matter of moments, and we should have the bombard cannons being queued up immediately for Sunjata. Bracer Ballistics, Thumbring still missing, but the Arbalest push is slowly starting to materialize, and this is turning into an even game here. Still 20 villagers lead for Pizarro, and has a decent map control, but he doesn't have Sipahis for those CA. In fact, those CA are actually a little bit underwhelming. Thumbring is just now coming in, and I feel like this could be the push for Sunjata in the middle. Mobility will once again be on the side of the Turks, but the big, strong army of Malay could still be a little bit troublesome to deal with. Arbalest are stumbling inside the base of Sunjata here. One thing that the Turks can do against that, though, is Turkish Hussars, although they need way more upgrades for them. Right now it's +1/+1, and that's not even remotely close. The castle comes in here for Pizarro, as we could see, now that DC is down, we could just see like 1 or 2 knights from Sunjata trying to push this side. Light Cav getting some raiding damage in, but this is buying time for Sunjata, who now is starting to move out with the Arbalest, with the bombard cannon. He's got 2 bombard cannon out here, and he will also start pushing the middle, I believe, even though this castle is slowly falling. This should still be a massive advantage for Pizarro, but I think the score is telling the truth. This is definitely winnable for Sunjata, but he's right now on the back foot. Whirlpool Voyagers repair this castle, brings in a bombard cannon to take down the trap, and he could definitely bring in a trap as well to take that castle down, but the bombard cannon will be exposed to some... well, the trap is going to be exposed to bombard cannon fire. Arbalests are now in, and they do have +2 defense just now coming in, and that's a lot of Cav Archers. The Hussars still have just +1 defense. And really, this is some very, very grindy and long games over here. And we still have 2 more series of the day. Numbers aren't really there for Sunjata, and that means that his bombard cannon will just get overrun by Cav Archers. The trap here is actually getting taken down, as the bombard cannon does survive. The bombard can take down the market, which would be annoying for Pizarro over here. And now the PC is slowly going down. Another bombard cannon coming in now. But now the Arbalest with +2 defense, they will actually start becoming better than these guys. PC goes down, but the Cav Archers are dying really fast. Sipahi is just now coming in, but by the time that actually finishes, most of those Cav Archers will be dead. And Hussar is a nice unit to soak up damage, but it's still just 4 pierce armor on them, so it's not really amazing. Still, the numbers aren't really there for Sunjata on the field, and it looks like this bombard cannon is also gonna get picked off. Pizarro is still outplaying his opponent in here, and Sunjata just taps out. I feel like Sunjata wouldn't have deserved this game, to be honest, because that Castle Age push was just a bad idea, bad decision, wasn't really well executed either. This was a game for Pizarro, and Pizarro is not ready to go out just yet. Over here in this one, takes away 1 game, and it looks like Robo is really rushing us here, so we don't even have time to have a lot of discussions about this one. We'll take a quick look at the draft, but we already have game 4 recorded games up. Now we have Frank's win for Sunjata, Turks is a win over there, Indians is a loss, and we will go to the first home map of Sunjata, which could be High Tides or Cup. And the thing is that Cup could also drag out to be a very, very long game over here. But so far, the first victory for Gonzalo was achieved on his own home map. We're going to have high tides, apparently, here. Gonzalo will be playing Japanese on the left side as, well, Japanese in red, and right side is going to be Sunjata for Persians in blue. Both of these civilizations are reasonable for this map, but I feel like it's a map for Japanese. So that should be an advantage on the side of Gonzalo Pizarro. Faster feudalage could be achieved by the Persians player, but I feel like the ability or the inability to destroy the opponent's fishing eco easily is going to be problematic for Persians. This is the biggest problem on this map. No matter how fast you are into feudal, if you can't kill the opponent's fishing eco, it doesn't really matter. And that kind of seems like that's the case against Japanese. Mobility will be on the side of Sunjata, more or less, but Japanese pikeman is always something that Persians have a bit of a trouble tech switching against. They have their moves against that, so crossbows or even commander on crossbows that are available. They could technically go for Castle Age Cav Archers against the pikemen, so they have their moves against pikemen, but it's not an easy tech switch by any means for them. So oftentimes we see this matchup on cross, and what we actually experience is that the Japanese is usually able to carve out victories against the Persians when the Persian knights get overrun by Japanese pikemen. And with that, we will have Pizarro coming in with 4 on wood. No surprise about that. This is a hybrid build, and it looks like Capture Age once again decides to freeze for a moment. So it might actually be in the need of another restart. They definitely improved performance, by the way. I'm actually very, very happy that Capture Age is constantly improving performance. Now, speaking of performance, it would be a bad performance from Sunjata to lose a Voyager to a scout like that. You don't want to send out your Voyager that alone. And it looks like Pizarro will send the Voyager to dock as well. Now, the most ideal spot to dock is over here on this little island, because that's where it is close to the deep fish. So that's the ideal spot for a docking over here. We're gonna have the Elephantarino being brought in by Pizarro, once again not garrisoning to weaken the elephant. Sort of a doubt-esque play over there. Other side, the elephant comes in just now, whereas this player is weakening the boar, something that a lot of players do, but could really justify Mr. Yo. Now we have Scout Wars over here. It seems like the advantage is on the side of Gonzalo over here, as he takes down the HP of Sunjata's Scout. The dock is already up though for Sunjata, and that means that he's gonna have a little bit of an edge getting these fishing ships out. Now, one thing that you have to consider is that even though the Japanese it will be harder to kill the Japanese fishing ships, it also is true in terms of killing the docks of Persians. So, as much as it is easier for Pizarro to preserve his fishing ships, it is easier for Sunjata to preserve his dock over here. The scout goes down, and that is still a good fight for Pizarro, though. No loom! There was no loom for Pizarro! What a disaster! And he's on shallows right now, he can't quick hold that Voyager in. He can't quick hold that Voyager in, that's a disaster. He's trying to run back home, and since there is no scout, he might actually be able to get home, but it depends on the pathfinding. If he bumps into something, he's going to die. It's 1 HP. Oh my goodness. It's 1 hit from Pizarro's Voyager now. If Pizarro can't kill that wheel, it's actually worse for Pizarro, because he's gonna have all his Voyagers idle there, and it looks like a new Voyager will be brought in, and that means that Pizarro has to disengage. In this case, Sunjata wins that Voyager fight, so to say, because at the end of the day, this Voyager is also going to be damaged, and there was a lot of idle time on this one, whereas Sunjata also had idle time on this, but it was a matter of saving that Voyager or not. So, with that, Pizarro is on 2 fishing ships, already free for Sunjata, and that's a fast hero once again from Sunjata, as he is going to bring in probably a second dock over here. Considering that Pizarro has lost his scout, he's gonna have no idea about this one. And one thing that's even more important is that there is no villager here for Pizarro for fishing, so you gotta wonder if Pizarro is actually going to do a land push here. Japanese often open men-at-arms on such a map, and indeed, here comes the barracks. So, what Pizarro is playing for is that he has a sturdier fishing ships, he's gonna be able to keep them alive for longer, and he wants to capitalize on a man-at-arms play, whereas it looks like Sunjata will just be going for the fishing eco and trying to secure the water for himself type of a strategy. So, with that, 3 on gold for Pizarro. Here come the men-at-arms. Considering that Sunjata lost his scout as well, he doesn't know what is coming his way. So from that perspective, this was actually very, very helpful for Pizarro, that he was able to pick off the opponent's scout over here. Field Age is better for Sunjata, and he queues up 2 fire galleys immediately. And he will be able to push the fishing eco of the opponent quite early on. Bidax on the way as well. And I think he starts to realize that his opponent might be pushing him on land. Men-at-arms will be coming in for Pizarro. He's also queuing up a fire galley, but obviously against 2 Persian dogs that work faster and also behind by 30 seconds in to fuel age, that pretty much means that he's gonna be outnumbered really badly. But Sunjata already queued up a demo as well, so he's expecting more fire ships from the opponent. That's why he's actually queuing up a demo. Otherwise, if he knew it's 1 dock only, he wouldn't go for demo. Because what demos are meant to be is a unit that actually equalizes the fights. In case you fall behind in numbers. But if you know that you have the numbers advantage, you don't need demos. And apparently the fishing ships will now be idle, with the exception of 1. Men-at-arms actually looping all the way around here, and I think now Sunjata sees the 1 dock and he knows it's a land aggression coming in. Fire galley from Pizarro right now on the way, and there is nothing that Sunjata can use to kill this one, so he needs to be careful not to lose some fishing ships to this. Here come the men-at-arms, and this might be hitting Sunjata's wood line. Sunjata is probably busy microing the water, and indeed, he doesn't notice that these men-at-arms have actually hit his wood line, and that's going to be at least a lot of idle time, but could potentially be villagers killed as well. Still, the water should be on the side of Sunjata, and there was no villagers lost by him either. And if there is no villagers lost, I don't think this men-at-arms opening is worth it. Because Sunjata will still take over on water, and there is going to be a free villagers lead for him. Archer follow-up is already in assembly, and you're probably going to send the first archer forward immediately. Because there is no defensive archer or skirmisher right now for Sunjata, up until this point where the first archer starts to come in. And a very nice reaction from Sunjata overall. Bowling off his base. And I feel like Sunjata has a firm control over this game. He's going to take the pawn for himself without any major challenge. It looks like Pizarro will try to demo snipe those fishing ships. So what Sunjata needs to do is spread out his fishing ships across multiple drops of fish. And that's going to help keep them alive. Double Bidax is in for both players. But now there is archers for Sunjata, so he can actually clean up those men-at-arms. The first archer coming in just now for Pizarro, as Sunjata is trying to wall off the southern part of the map to prevent any further army from reaching his base. Fire galley pops out for Pizarro, as Sunjata is going to split up his fire galleys so that the demo cannot actually connect. Pizarro is just waiting for the opportunity with the demo, though there is also demo here for Sunjata that could just trade off against the opponent's demo. Japanese men-at-arms are still scary against archers if you don't micro your archers, and that's exactly what we're seeing over here. Archer wasn't able to get in here because the walls are already up. Horse color coming in early for Sunjata, so he actually wants to add a lot of land eco for himself. We're gonna have the men-at-arms coming in here. Nice quick wall from Sunjata, sort of trapping the army in there. With fletching and archers, he should have no trouble cleaning this one up. And here comes the fire galley trying to counterattack. That's not going to happen either. These 2 fire galleys have been damaged, so that means that the demo actually popped up dock and actually hit them. And I feel like Sunjata now has a very, very decisive lead. This map, we often see that the player that controls the water usually is the one that wins the game. And it kind of feels like it, because now Sunjata can actually go for a crazy fish boom. He is already having horse color, so his farming eco is going to be pretty decent as well. So his food eco will look much better. He's gonna have the archers to defend, mixes in a couple of skirmishers, and he will be fully walled. And from this point on, I feel like the problem that Pizarro is facing is that there is no way that he can actually contest that fishing eco. I'm not even sure if this demo finishes in time. I don't think it will. Like, see, it's 62%, and this dock is almost down. So from this point on, Sunjata, even though he is behind in score, he just took over. And that is definitely reasonable. 6 vouchers ahead, double bid-axe horse color. His opponent has bid-axe horse color as well, but there's a 6 vouchers deficit already. So, with that, we are gonna have the hill being held over here by Sunjata. For now, he's getting archer armor. He's actually playing this one safe. Okay, so with that, there is gonna be the double ranges coming in for Pizarro, but still, actually, look at those resources. I'm surprised. I am very, very surprised in this one. How did this even happen for Pizarro? I mean, he actually added vouchers to farms early on, and he also is taking the hunt. So that's true, but I am really unsure how it is possible that he's actually beating his opponent into Castle Age. Actually, no. I'm dumb. I am dumb. My excuse is that I've been casting for 5 hours and I slept for like 4 today, so I apologize for being a little bit potato. That is why. Yeah, by no measurable should Gonzalo beat his opponent into Castle Age here. Indeed, Castle Age is coming in for Sunjata, and here's the added benefit of Persians as well. Persian knights actually deal more damage to archers and skirmishers, which means that the Persian knights should be able to clean this one up. And now there's 2 things that you can do as Pizarro. If you anticipate the knight's play, I think you gotta go for pikemen. Your base is still wide open, so the mobility is going to be a concern. And there is technically the possibility that Pizarro will actually go for cav archers, because Japanese cav archers are surprisingly good. With that, we are gonna have the knights coming in for Sunjata, as we are probably going to have knights as well from Pizarro. I don't know, I feel like this game feels so over. It's 10 vouchers lead already for Sunjata, and he's gonna have knights with +1/+1 and the Persian attack bonus against archers. There will be a couple of knights for Pizarro as well, but that's not really going to be able to match the numbers of the opponent. A fort monastery, interestingly, from Sunjata, so he was expecting knights from his opponent or potentially monks from his opponent. Both makes some sense. We have a new dock from Sunjata as well to spread out the villagers. Villagers fishing ships on the fish. I think after this series I need to take a 5 minutes break because my brain is slowly melting here. So double stable knights coming in for Sunjata. He's getting +2 defense in, easily able to afford Boso and heavy plow, so his eco is gonna be crazy. 11 villagers lead, nice and confident against Pizarro, and we are gonna have double ranges crossbows still being added for Pizarro though. And that's something to consider. That's going to be a lot of scary crossbows. It's a matter of question how many knights our Persian player is going to be able to field. Because I think that this might come down to one decisive engagement. And we might soon have that. There is a monk moonwalking with the relic. Look at that. That was beautiful. The moonwalking bug is actually a bug in the game and not in Capture Age. But that was a beautiful moonwalking monk. And even if you get husbandry, and the reason why husbandry is important is because you want to catch up with those crossbows a lot easier. So you want to be able to get to them as soon as possible. You don't want them to just run away from you with the hit and run play. Cavalry will still outrun them, but the faster your cavalry is, the better in general. So we will have 2 TCs. Now it's a third one coming in for Pizarro as well. Third TC on the way as well for Sunjata. Nice and confident 12 Vultures lead, adding stable number 3. And really, I feel like the problem is that, or at least the problem for Gonzalo, is that Sunjata's Knights actually influence the game a lot more than the Knights will from Pizarro. Like, Pizarro's got a couple of Knights on the field, but that doesn't really matter. I think he just made these Knights to make sure that if there is siege pushing him, then he's gonna be having something that can kill the siege. But reality is that Sunjata knows exactly that he's got a very confident lead here. He will just sit on it, use the faster working Persian TCs to increase his boom, keep adding knights, and then at some point unleash those knights when he has enough to get a good surround on those crossbows and absolutely destroy them. A couple of knights trying to bash their way in, but if Sunjata looks at these knights, he sees that there is 0 upgrades on them. That means that Pizarro is not actually going for knights, and this apparently was just a diversion by Pizarro. He wanted to lure the entire army of Sunjata to the south, so he can push up with the crossbows, but that's not gonna happen. One monk is on the field, and there will be a conversion, but I feel like this is a fight that Sunjata is happy to take. Another monk is out, that's definitely not ideal, so now 2 knights have been converted, but still, the crossbows and skirmishers die like nothing to the Persian knights, and I feel like, especially with the skirmishers trying to pick off the monk here, I think the monk get the conversion before the skirmishers picked him off, but it doesn't really matter, because there is enough knights to overrun this one, and the second wave is what is going to be problematic for Pizarro to deal with. He's holding this one off, but he's up against soon 4 stables, 14 Voyagers disadvantage right now for Pizarro, and he's gonna have to idle those Voyagers a lot. And this might have been doubt, we don't know for sure, but it is apparently going to be the last game for Gonzalo Pizarro in Hidden Cup 4. And Sunjata looking very, very promising, to be honest. Top quality player, seems really like Mr. Yo, the way that he plays. As we're gonna have some skirms, just scouting the southern area. I would assume that monks from Sunjata are already coming to pick up relics. And there is nowhere to go now for Pizarro. His base is wide open, knights will just run around and kill villagers on the wood lines whatsoever. They don't even need to kill villagers, they just need to idle them. It's 63 villagers, 26 idols, and Sunjata with a 5 times bigger army value right now. And technically, yes, the Japanese pikemen can always be a tricky one for Persians to deal with, but I feel like the advantage for Sunjata is big enough to just snowball this one with knights. I don't think that Pizarro has the chance anymore to just stop this one with pikemen. The score, I think it's telling the truth. Massive advantage now for Gonzalo Pizarro, or for Sunjata. And if that Mangonel actually lands a shot on those gold miners, that's going to end the game over here. Indeed, Pizarro taps out, and Sunjata finishing off the series. He was very convincing in all of the games, and this was one of the crazier series. The first game was a quite back and forth one. Game number 2, game number 3 were amazing. This one was a little bit stomp-like, but that probably comes from the nature of this map. The fact that whoever wins water on this map just gets a so big advantage into Castle Age that it is insanely hard to stop after. Sunjata playing very, very clean, and with that, he gets into the next round of Hidden Cup 4.